In the amazing world of Gumball, it's not all fun and laughter. Beneath its colorful surface lurk nightmare-inducing characters, sinister puppets, a silent clown, and other deeply unsettling villains.
Okay, the bedroom's just at the top of the stairs.
Wait.
Today, we explore 5 of the most disturbing ones, their dark origins, and the impact they leave on Gumball and Darwin. Dare to find out who takes the crown as the scariest? In Elmore, innocence is just an illusion. The terrors of Elmore, the puppets. In the peculiar universe of the amazing world of Gumball, not everything is laughter and lollipops. From puppets with sinister intentions to clowns lurking in the shadows, Elmore is home to a gallery of characters capable of making your hair stand on end. One of the first and most memorable encounters with the show's dark side involves the puppets. The story begins when Gumball and Darwin embark on the arduous task of cleaning out the attic for a garage sale.
They're right next to my underpants drawer. They've seen a lot. Ah! What the what? What happened to me?
Among dusty boxes and childhood memories, Darwin uncovers an old box of puppets. For Gumball, a budding teenager, these puppets are a vestige of childhood that should be left behind. He insists that Darwin get rid of them, encouraging him to grow up. However, Darwin's loyalty to his old cloth friends is unwavering. As soon as Gumball turns his back, the puppets reappear and the connection between them is instantaneous. The puppets, with distinct personalities and a strange ability to persuade, quickly reintegrate into Darwin's life. They converse, joke, and act like the best friends he never knew he'd lost. They remind Darwin of an implicit promise not to abandon them ever again, and he, naively, accepts. This promise seals his fate, as the puppets attach themselves to Darwin in an almost parasitic way, accompanying him everywhere, even during the most intimate and private moments, like in the bathroom. The puppets' influence soon manifests in chaotic ways. On a school bus trip, one of the puppets brazenly flirts with Rocky, the driver, causing an accident that nearly ends in disaster. Back home, the situation becomes untenable. Gumball, increasingly exasperated by his brother's erratic behavior, finally realizes the strange and controlling presence of the puppets. The confrontation is inevitable. The puppets, revealing their true manipulative nature, begin to insult Gumball. The argument quickly escalates, culminating in a fight among the puppets themselves, a moment Gumball seizes to, with supreme effort, rip them from a reluctant Darwin's hands, freeing him, temporarily, from their dark influence. After the initial confrontation, Gumball's determination was clear: to end the puppets' influence once and for all. At the entrance of their house, Gumball tries to get rid of them, tossing them into the trash can. However, Darwin, clinging to the fantasy, pleads with his brother not to, arguing that the puppets have lives of their own and can talk. Despite the pleas and the supposed conversation from the toys, Gumball isn't fooled and throws them out without hesitation. Darwin retreats, visibly upset by the loss of his peculiar companions. That same night, the tranquility of the Watterson household is disturbed. Things take a chilling turn. Frank and Howdy, the main puppets, come to life autonomously. Emerging from the trash can, their first target is Gumball and Darwin's room. Bursting in with sinister determination, they find Gumball's prized gaming console and ruthlessly destroy it. Gumball's heart breaks at the sight of his most cherished possession in pieces, but the real shock comes when the puppets reveal their macabre truth. Darwin had promised never to abandon them, and now they wanted Gumball too. In an unexpected twist, the puppets suck Gumball and Darwin into a creepy dimensional world, a realm made entirely of puppets and old childhood memories. This place is filled with surreal elements: a screaming sun, a melancholic tree, a high-five character, and even a dog playing a keyboard. Each of these elements represents something they used to imagine as children, twisted into a nightmare. Within this strange universe, Gumball must confront his fears and the perversion of his own imagination. Finally, Gumball manages to find Darwin, who is trapped in a peculiar puppet house. There, Frank and Howdy, the 2 original puppets, sing a hypnotic and chilling song titled "The Fun Will Never End." They've managed to brainwash Darwin, and now Gumball is their target. Grady, the third puppet, emerges and reveals the true extent of their plan.
Shush. Can you hear that, Master Gumball? This way.
It was all a trap from the beginning, orchestrated to ensnare the brothers. The puppets grow to a colossal size, preparing to force Gumball and Darwin to play with them forever. However, in a moment of clarity, Darwin notices a loose thread on his own arm. Pulling it, he manages to detach himself, and in a desperate act, he also pulls Gumball. This act of defiance triggers a chain reaction. The puppet world begins to crumble, threads unravel, and the puppets themselves fray before their eyes. Everything explodes in a burst of uncontrolled imagination, a reminder that, in the end, it was all a product of their minds. As Gumball and Darwin escape the twisted puppet world, chaos quickly reappears in Elmore. Back in the real world, Nicole is busy with garage sale preparations. That's when Billy, the innocent neighborhood kid, stumbles upon the box of puppets. With a child's natural curiosity, he finds them fascinating. However, the moment he picks them up, Grady, one of the puppets, attacks him from behind, inexplicably beating him up. The idea of these puppets forcing you to play with them for all eternity is, without a doubt, chilling. But what could be worse than a group of vengeful puppets? The next level of horror in the Amazing World of Gumball is embodied by a much subtler, yet equally unsettling character, the clown. This mysterious individual has a knack for slipping into the background of numerous episodes, often going unnoticed by many viewers, even die-hard fans. His first notable appearance is in The Procrastinators as a mailman, and since then, he's managed to infiltrate various scenes, always lurking in the shadows.
70 seconds, or live a boring life for 70 years.
70 years, straight up.
No, don't go, it's boring here! Come back, come on!
One thing is for sure, he's an all-time creepy character. There are a few confirmed facts about him. For instance, in the episode The Ghouls, it's surprisingly revealed that he's a ghoul. We know he occasionally works as a mailman, and his voice is provided by Mick Graves, who also voices Banana Joe. Apart from these scarce details, little else is known for certain about this enigmatic character. However, his presence has sparked several fan theories. One of the most popular suggests he tries to kidnap Gumball and Darwin, but is thwarted by knowing the audience is watching him. Another, more elaborate theory posits that he comes from the void and holds some kind of personal vendetta against Gumball and Darwin, similar to Rob. Nevertheless, the most likely explanation is that he's simply a recurring background gag, designed to add a touch of weirdness. But here's a personal theory, a bit far-fetched, I'll admit. The clown bears a striking resemblance to one of the puppets. Look at the hat, the bow tie, the eyes, and most strikingly, they have an identical mop of hair. Now, the real appeal of this high-level stretch is the connection to Darwin's promise to never leave the puppets, and the strange abilities these puppets possess. If the puppets have the power to appear in the real world, could this clown be one of them, manifesting in another form? The idea of a creepy clown lurking in the shadows is already unsettling, but you know what's worse than that? Pure happiness, and even more so, when that happiness becomes a weapon. The contagion of forced happiness, the joy virus. While not a character in the traditional sense, the joy virus is, without a doubt, one of the most disturbing and memorable elements of the Amazing World of Gumball. The episode introducing it already begins with an unusual tone. The screen displays the time, an uncommon detail for the series, hinting that something out of the ordinary is about to happen. Gumball and Darwin trudge downstairs with an attitude that clearly screams, "I wish I hadn't woken up." They throw food directly at their faces, showing a severe case of the Mondays, a feeling many can relate to. In a typically peculiar Elmore twist, a huge, fluffy pink bunny appears, offering them a hug that, it claims, will make them much happier. After an initial resistance, Gumball and Darwin give in, and the hug works a little too well. The uncontrollable spread. The scene fast-forwards to school, where Gumball and Darwin walk down the hallways with a strange euphoria. Not only are they smiling, but they're also skipping, a manifestation of joy that doesn't go unnoticed. Miss Simeon, the grumpy, cynical class teacher, observes this with absolute horror. How dare anyone be happy on a Monday? Her disdain for morning cheer is palpable, and for anyone who's had a teacher like that, her reaction is completely understandable. Confused and deeply suspicious, Miss Simeon keeps a close eye on them in class. The situation worsens when Gumball,
The music is the cure!
Furiously, she bursts into Principal Brown's office, shouting about a contagious disease and an outbreak of joy. Principal Brown, with his usual calm, thinks she's overreacting, but Miss Simeon, determined to prove the gravity of the situation, disagrees. Armed with her phone, she starts filming Gumball and Darwin as if she were a scientist documenting a strange biological phenomenon. She tries by all means to make them stop smiling, but the virus's effect is relentless. Gumball's face literally breaks and twists in an attempt to stop smiling, only to return to a gigantic grin. Miss Simeon tries everything, even attempting to flip their mouths upside down, but nothing works. Their faces keep snapping back to those enormous, unbreakable smiles, a terrifying testament to the power of this forced happiness. The pandemic of unhinged happiness. Miss Simeon holds firm in her conviction. Gumball and Darwin have contracted some kind of virus. Completely ignoring Nurse Joanne's objections, who deems her actions ridiculous, Simeon shines a flashlight into the boys' eyes, recording their dilated, eerie pupils. Finally, Gumball and Darwin are quarantined, laughing uncontrollably like little goblins, coughing glitter, hearts, and rainbows until they eventually pass out. The heart monitor next to them transforms into a cheerful cartoon, emitting a catchy tune, a prelude to what's to come. Upon waking, Gumball and Darwin have transformed into huggers. With boundless energy, they pounce on Principal Brown, infecting him with their contagious joy. Brown joins their peculiar hug parade, laughing maniacally. Miss Simeon, in a desperate attempt to save herself, throws Miss Markham into the joyous crowd, but her efforts are in vain. The joy virus spreads like wildfire throughout the school. Alan, Bobert, Rocky, Terry, Masami, Leslie, and even Penny fall victim to the forced euphoria. Students are assaulted by giggling rainbow monsters. Bobert short-circuits, Carmen explodes in a shower of glitter, and Tobias, eager to be infected, is ironically ignored. Amidst the chaos, Miss Simeon accidentally discovers a cure: sad classical music. The melancholic Moonlight Sonata resonates, instantly killing Principal Brown, metaphorically of course, by freeing him from the forced joy. Miss Simeon tries to sneak through the hallways pretending to be infected, with a forced smile and shouting rainbows. However, she breaks character to correct Banana Joe's dress code, blowing her cover. Now, all the infected students are chasing her. She manages to escape Tina's tiny arms, hits Tobias with his own locker for being too colorful, and reaches the PA system just in time. But to her horror, guess who's waiting there? Gumball and Darwin, completely engulfed in joy. The scene jumps directly to the end, where Miss Simeon, utterly defeated and now infected herself, is laughing on the floor. With a deranged smile, she delivers one last message to the camera. This story had a happy ending. It's clear this episode was intended as a PG-rated version of a zombie outbreak, but in many ways, it's actually a bit more terrifying. The idea of obligatory, uncontrollable happiness that consumes individuality and genuine emotion is a form of psychological horror that goes beyond mere physical survival. Imposed happiness, devoid of choice, is a true nightmare. The Silent Terror of Elmore, Mimos. In an animated universe populated by talking donuts and sentient bananas, the Amazing World of Gumball achieved the unthinkable, introducing us to one of the most chilling characters in modern animation. We're talking about Mimos, a turtle so intrinsically evil that even the grittiest horror movies would think twice before including her. Mimos made her debut in the episode The Puppy. Gumball and Darwin, with the typical naivete of children, beg their parents for a dog. However, instead of an adorable, fluffy furball, they receive Mimos, a silent, motionless turtle with unblinking, fixed eyes. A gaze that screams, "You'll never sleep again." The name Mimos, which means cuddles in Spanish, but translated here to mimes for the character name, is a macabre irony, like calling a chainsaw hugs. It only accentuates her disturbing nature. At first, she seems harmless. The kids try to feed her, bond with her, but her sole mission appears to be destruction. She transforms their room into a post-apocalyptic wasteland, rips the heads off action figures with calculated coldness, and genuinely tries to do away with Gumball. It's as if a Lovecraftian entity materialized in the form of a turtle, designed to break spirits and devour toy collections. If The Puppy was just an unsettling trailer, the next episode, The Nest, is a full-blown horror sequel. The episode begins spookily. An old man named Gary searches for his cat late at night, an alarm bell signaling trouble. He hears breathing, not normal breathing, but eerie, demonic turtle breathing that raises hairs. He turns around and finds Richard Watterson, who's simply breathing with his mouth open into Nicole's hand. A peculiar image, but not the imminent threat. Gary hears a rustling under a car. He checks, thinking it's his cat. Cute, right? Wrong. Within 30 seconds, Gary is dragged under the car by an unknown beast, vanishing into the darkness. The next morning, Gumball and Darwin find a mysterious egg under the same car where Gary disappeared. They bring the egg home, and Anais, the family's brilliant mind, investigates it and confirms it's a turtle egg. The moment the egg hatches, and that tiny turtle takes its first steps, it immediately tries to attack Anais. Luckily, Gumball and Darwin were there to intervene. Otherwise, Anais would have met a grim fate. Soon after, the Wattersons discover the nest. At the worst possible moment, a multitude of turtles hatch, unleashing chaos throughout Elmore. But this is where the story takes a strangely emotional turn. The only way to save Elmore is to convince Mimos to leave with her babies. For a brief moment, Mimos isn't the demon in a shell, but a mother protecting her offspring. However, this glimpse of tenderness is fleeting. Immediately afterward, she leads her army of turtles and, without hesitation, sinks a cargo ship.
When the milk spills, when your dog's ill, when all hope takes flight, when everyone else feels incredibly sad, my world fills with pure...
Yes, she's still intrinsically evil. Mimos doesn't speak, nor does she even blink, yet somehow she has cemented herself as one of the most terrifying cartoon characters ever created. She's slow, creepy, and impossible to stop. Perhaps that combination of disturbing inaction and unstoppable menace is what makes her so profoundly frightening. The unyielding malice of Mrs. Robinson. If you thought the turtle Mimos was the epitome of terror in Elmore, get ready to recall Mrs. Robinson. She's living proof that not all villains need claws, fangs, or supernatural powers. Some come with a handbag, a permanent scowl, and an absolute lack of empathy. Margaret Robinson is, without a doubt, one of the most detested characters in the Amazing World of Gumball, and honestly, she's more than earned that title. While most of the show's cast, even the antagonists, have moments of growth, glimmers of hidden charm, or at least some redeeming quality, Mrs. Robinson skips all of that. She's not a misunderstood character. She's not misguided in the sense of having a tragic backstory. She's simply, purely mean. Unlike her husband, Mr. Robinson, who despite his grumpiness can be surprisingly emotional or hilarious at times, especially when interacting with Rocky, Margaret is stuck in a single gear, pure malice. Where Mr. Robinson might complain about the Wattersons, but occasionally show genuine affection, Margaret doesn't even bother to pretend. She seems to exist solely to make life miserable for everyone around her. Nowhere is her villainy clearer than in the episode The Wicked. Here, we see her at her most unhinged. The episode starts with her manipulating wild animals to attack people, a completely gratuitous and cruel act. Then, she nearly runs over Gumball and Darwin with her car. And just for the pure joy of chaos, she switches the name tags of newborn babies in the hospital, as if it's a macabre joke. There's no end goal, no tangible reward. She simply does it for her own twisted amusement. But the situation gets even more disturbing. In a moment meant to test any glimmer of humanity in her, Someone fakes drowning to see if she'll intervene and help. Any normal person would panic or, at the very least, show concern. Margaret, however, takes a toy car and shoves it down the faking person's throat, causing them to actually choke. Darwin looks at her, giving her one last chance to do the right thing. She meets his gaze and, with chilling coldness, simply closes the door. That, my friends, is pure evil. Fortunately, Gumball manages to save Darwin, and at no point does Mrs. Robinson show guilt, remorse, or even acknowledgement of what she's just done. She simply walks away as if nothing happened. Compare this to Mr. Robinson, who, despite his eccentricities, at least tries to be nice sometimes. He has layers, bitterness, yes, but also vulnerability and moments of humor in episodes like The Noise or The Silence. We see him joke and even smile. Margaret, on the other hand, never changes, never improves, and most shockingly, the show itself knows it. So, if we're talking about the most malevolent character in Elmore, sorry, Mimos, but the crown belongs to Margaret Robinson. She is the embodiment of neighborhood evil. No powers, no grand schemes, just pure, unapologetic cruelty in the form of a very, very angry grandmother. And somehow, she still roams the streets of Elmore. So, consider this your warning. We've reached the end of this chilling journey through Elmore's darkest corners, where soul-trapping puppets, a shadowy clown, a terrifying joy virus, the silent and sinister Mimos, and the cruel Mrs. Robinson showed us that true horror can hide in the everyday. Which one did you find the scariest? Share your thoughts, drop your theories, and subscribe for more animated terrors. Until next time, and beware the shadows.